So today we're going up in budget, 100k, what's the best in each position? Started off with goalkeepers, now we're getting a week, 2 weeks into it of your Ultimate Edition. We're starting to see now the same faces. The Alissons, the Courtois, the Edisons. Predominantly they're the big ones that I've seen. Very few have now got icon goalkeepers, which is to be expected when they are coming in at a premium price to be able to get them. Naturally they will fall very, very quickly. You few kind of Martinez's, Mignans, obviously Kobel's sometimes in there, Ter Stegen, Donnarumma, Neuer. They are on the outskirts now. I am seeing a lot of Edisons more so than anything, which was always going to be the case with that long ball plus. Once they announced that they were giving a Playstyle plus, you knew full well Edison wasn't getting a goalkeeper one. And most definitely, it's a bit broken at times. If you can utilize it right, he can ping a ball, which is why I personally would say at the moment, until we see any sort of patches or any sort of kind of gameplay stuff, he will be number one in my eyes. Then followed by a Courtois if you bring your keeper out, and also a little bit of Alisson, as he naturally always tends to be somewhere at the top, to be honest.
If you need coins in FC25, lootbar.gg has you covered. They are the cheapest trading platform on the game, 8 to 10% cheaper than any others, 8% off if you use the code JT11 at the end at checkout, plus you get 5% extra on coins, with the fastest delivery system going, used by many FC25 creators such as Zorky, Manny Plus, and even Pro owners. So if you need any coins, head over to lootbar.gg, make sure JT11's in the promo code, and hopefully you enjoy.
We then throw ourselves into some fullbacks. Obviously, we're getting with a big budget here of 100k per position. You can get a very solid team. If you get 100k per position, you may not need it. You're looking at least 1.1 mil of a team. That, to be honest, at this point of the game, is pretty good. Not everybody's going to have that sort of cash. You're looking 20k, 50k, 40k, maybe just spending 100k on your strikers. But if you have got the budget, you've got on the right-hand side the likes of the top-end Kyle Walker. You've got a bit of Frimpong. Hakimi's coming in relatively cheap. You've then got Llorente and also a Delo. Now, obviously, Llorente can play in a few positions, but I've personally got him at right back, and he's doing pretty well. Frimpong at the minute's on the bench until I can get a link into him to get him on the team. Van der Ven's going to be a great one. If you could get the likes of a Virgil van Dijk, you can obviously build your team that way with him. But in terms of right back, I think as a cheap option, Delo's going to be fantastic, Walker's going to be the more expensive, and then depending on where you want link-wise, Hakimi's going to be great for Ligue 1, and Llorente for obviously the La Liga, and also Spain. Serie A, if I was going for one, there isn't really a massive kind of bulk there, to be honest. You're looking at like DeMarco on the other side, but realistically, they just don't have them fullbacks at the moment. Left-hand side, though, we've got a few of the females in Rolfo, Sakina, and Batcha. Very, very good in all of their own rights. I'm personally rocking with Sakina. Very quick, very stable. Whereas if you wanted that overlapping, whipped pass playstyle plus, Batcher is definitely going to be your kind of more favoured choice there. Whereas Rolfo, to be honest, still sits in that centre mid. Centre mid, box to box, DM, going to do an absolute blinder. We also then have the likes of Undogi or Alfonso, both very good options. I believe Teo and also Ferland Mendy are just sitting out of that price range at the moment. Some that have been missed out, you've got your Trents and your Robertsons. I think they're a little bit past it in terms of starting cards. Maybe if they do get a few upgrades, we could see them again. And also, you've got a few of the kind of other left backs that you throw in there, like your Grimaldo, and Nuno Mendes, I suppose. They're kind of there. You can even throw a Joe Gomez in there. Gravadal, he could go in left back, but to me, these are the better options as your fullbacks. But then we move into the centre-back game. Now, we've got a few of the cheaper options here, kind of going all the way up to a Van der Ven, who most definitely is featuring heavy in a lot of people's teams. I'm seeing him left, right, and centre in rivals. It's absolutely nuts. He's coming in at the moment at 63,000 coins. The hard bit is actually paying for someone like that, because you know he's going to drop, and he could drop in a week, he could drop in a month. I can imagine with the first champs coming around, he more than likely will stay at a certain price, but I do like an untradeable or first owner team as much as I can. But then you look at your Umprimacanos, your Akanjis, your Akis, your Gomez, Schlotterbeck. Then you throw in a little bit of Konate and you go in a 10, 20k budget. You maybe go one up to a Marquinhos. You look at a Bastoni. And then you've kind of got your top three. Arejo at 100k. You got Tomori at 36.5, not a bad price again. And then the likes of your Van de Ven, who's just that stonewall 88 pace on a centre back, is absolutely crazy. Like that's on levels with the kind of LaCroix of the world, the St. Just, but still having the defensive and physical attributes is absolutely nuts. Like, he is a perfect centre back here. Great pace, decent defending, physical. You whack an anchor on him and you are absolutely laughing. We see him with that anchor, 92 pace, 88, 86, and 87 rated centre-back with that amount of pace is criminal. You look at him with a shadow, 95 pace with 89 on the defended. Again, you could get away with that to start with. There is just levels to it. We also saw a little bit of Carragher as well. I like him as a card. I think I've got his origin card, obviously, like a lot of people did, but I just don't think I'd spend 90k on him. He's decent, like he's a decent card if you got him for free. And obviously I got not that one, I got this one at the moment. It's a decent card for free, but it's not one that I personally would go for, to be fair. I'd say if you're looking at kind of your triangle, any of these will do fine. You could throw in a Bastoni because defensively is incredible, but I would suggest to maybe have somebody with a little bit more pace. If you could get an 80, maybe an 81 if you could, then that's going to be fantastic, but they're personally my centre-back choices at the moment. And then we've got a huge selection from the midfield. We've got DMs, box-to-boxes, cams. Now we're starting to see formations take place. I've seen 4-5-1. I've seen 5 at the backs, 4-3-3, a balanced 4-4-2. You can kind of get to grips of where people are going with their midfield. Definitely the most I've seen is a free midfield. So we're looking at either 2 box-to-boxes and a DM, a box-to-box and a cam, maybe even going all out and having like a solid holding midfielder and 2 very attacking midfielders. It can work that way as well, depending on your formation. If I'm looking across the list, if we're going for the cheaper options, we see Dunn, very good for the links further on in the game. Loftus-Cheek is always very good and will get evolutions very quickly. And I think that's the big thing whenever we look at like a Camavinga, a Rashford, a Loftus-Cheek, anybody in that sort of lower overall bracket, this year they're going to have a lot of evolutions coming to them. So that's going to be a big factor when we look at some of the lower cards, especially at the start of the game. We're only a week and a half in. It's time to kind of get your team settled. Don't go out and buy a crazy amount straight off the bat, because once we hit Black Friday, they all come down in price massively, and you want to have that amount of money left over for then. We got Joe Linton. Another very standard prem, nothing too major of a cost. Same with Grace, as a holding DM, she normally does the business and got plenty of links with France. Obviously Camavinga's there, we got Tchouaméni's there as well, plus then around the pitch. Conte, to be honest, has been an absolute life changer for me. And the main thing at the moment with any players, if you've got a whole team and you're thinking, okay, it's very basic, nothing too crazy, you've got no playstyle pluses in there, the difference a playstyle plus makes at this point, because we're so used to having 2-3 playstyle pluses per player, it is crazy once you've got one in there. You forget how vital these were in last year, and having that anchor in him is brilliant. We've got him as a holding DM at the moment, linking with a bit of Camavinga. We've got Bonmati in there as well, and it's just a running functional midfield. Throwing in a few others, we've got Garcia, Van der Beek as 2 very cheap options. Some nice stats across the board for both of them. In cams-wise, we've got Dybala, Wirtz, Musiala. Very, very good on the ball. Obviously, Musiala coming in as more of the expensive one. I'm pretty sure he was pretty much bang on the 100k, give or take. He is coming in at a whopping 95,000. So we've got 95 for him. We're then looking at a kind of more of a box-to-boxes with De Jong, Barella, Tonali. Obviously, Barella, Tonali, very good links across them. And also linking them Serie A and Prem players together. Another link to Bastoni, adding a bit to Tomori. It all links really nicely there. De Jong, obviously, with Van der Beek, with obviously Frimpong, Van der Ven, Van Dijk. huge links going on with these nations, which is a perfect way to go with. If you're not too sure how to get leagues on, nations normally provide very good players, especially the major nations as well. And this is where we start to get a bit more of a price. Now, I would definitely offer to try and go for a more expensive winger and striker as much as you can. The back line, on a certain budget, can be pretty good. It will depend on how good your opponent's strikers are, plus their ability in the game. Because if you've got a solid back line of, say, 100k throughout it, you could definitely make it and be fine. But the striking ability is massive. If you've ever had the difference between, say, an Mbappe at the start of the game versus a Jesus, huge differences. That is, and I know that is a very wild example, but say, for example, okay, we'll go someone like a Haaland, to be honest, because I don't think he's necessarily coming in crazy price at the start. He's coming in at 240. Like that's a very good striker, but the difference between him and like a Nunez, who's very meta in a very cheap price, is light years away. So you're going to get a considerable amount of more goals if you was to put that striker up there. Now, obviously, building a balanced team is massive, but having that talisman, that person, if you can get two of them up front, that is going to be massive, because not only do they draw players out because they know, I don't want to go against Haaland. We saw the perfect example of his player of the month. People can then go and grind that SBC. That is going to be a card that is going to drag people out because you know he's going to score. If I've got Jesus running forward, yeah, he definitely can score, but there is more chance that the conversion rate for Haaland is going to be a lot bigger than Jesus. In terms of wingers, we have got the cheaper ones in Diaby, Adeyemi, Coman, and then the likes of Sane, who have all got massive amounts of pace. Now, obviously, we've got the Rapid Plus, we've got 2 Quick Step Pluses, huge going down the wing, especially if you are utilising that LB or L1 speed boost as well, because it is just dire to try and catch up with them. We then have the likes of Evolution cards, who are semi-available as well. Big old Rashi, bit of Doku, very good with the evolutions, but coming in at a price because of it, and also have got that pace to go forward as well. It's not necessarily just solely for evolutions, but it definitely helps. We have the 2 American wingers. This is what we said we've done. You could have then potentially like a Sophia Smith spending a bit more money again to be able to have that full triple or quadruple American linking. We would have had Alex Morgan as another option, but she did retire prior to this, so whether we see her in this game or if she's going to be potentially an icon in the next year will be yet to be seen. We have got the likes of Diaz, who I think is fantastic. There is one player I've missed out here in Rafinha. He's like 80-90k. I don't think I'd pay for that. I'd much rather go for like a Saka, a Diaz, who can play right wing as well. Even Messi. Messi's not got the greatest pace to be a winger, and more than likely could be an inside forward, a striker, maybe even in that cam role. But the dribbling side of him is so much more effective. He's got his own body type. He will absolutely work it. But then we move into the final few options. You've got James with a 4-5, very good with a Trickster Plus, incredible amounts of pace, decent shooting and passing for the winger, and then some very good dribbling stats and a bit of physicality. Diane, unfortunately, didn't get a Playstyle Plus for her Champions League card, but most definitely is still highly sought after in this game. And I've always got to throw mention to Kvaratskhelia. 5-5 again, lovely in form that's coming in cheap, and he will eventually get to the point where you start to take notice of him a little bit more. And then we have the strikers. Now, this is where they are the most expensive. Like, of course, the striking role is what really, really matters to everybody in general as well. Everybody wants a good striker. I believe you'd get 10 out of 10 votes if you was to choose the best striker on day one or the best centre-back on day one. Like, it's just head and shoulders, regardless of price. Say if you had the equivalent of R9 up front or Mbappe up front, and then say like Virgil was the same price. He was coming in at 4 mil. If you was to choose to pick between a striker, a centre-back, a striker and centre-mid, a striker and a winger, you would always go with the striker. So they are going to come in quite expensive, but there is some cheap ones. Danjuma and Taurum as 2 SBCs that you can do are more than fine for the first week. Whether you'd want to go into champs with them, that is yet to be seen as we're going into it this weekend, which is coming. But you have got the likes of Pajor with a Rapid Plus that will work really well. Nunez is still fantastic as always. He will get evolutions going forward as well. Being 82 rated, it's only a matter of time. We have got the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, his own body type, again potential of a pace upgrade at some point in the near future, as well as then having, like we say, the Playstyle Plus that is going to be a big factor for going in front of goal basically. Then we've got the likes of Keane, 3-star, so he's going to be very much just an upgraded Nunez in terms of being able to just push the ball forward. He's got himself the pace, shooting wise is catching up, which is nice, but it is going to be very much a starting striker. He's not going to last too long, and that's the point with Nunez, with Pajor, even Martinez. Isaac, everybody on this list is going to be at some point just completely redundant. But then I would say some of the promising ones, Alvarez has definitely been stepping up with that press proven. Very quick, you've obviously got to whack a Hunter on him. Openda's got the same ability, which is mental that Openda only has one more physical stat than Alvarez. I really thought he had a little bit more about him. Isaac as kind of Prem striker is coming in a bit more on top, but he's still just that bit behind. I think Alvarez would be my favourite one out of the options here. Openda, Danjuma are coming in there. Martinez has got a great finish on him as well, so he's definitely one not to be snubbed and does come in at a high price and some good links depending on how the rest of the team's going. But I would suggest if you are looking through this list and thinking, okay, I don't need any of these strikers, we need to go better, I would suggest trying to pay that little bit more for a striker if you can. As long as the rest of the team's balanced, you should be pretty golden. But that's the list. Let me know down below what budget you're looking for next, and I will catch you all for the next one. Peace.